Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Bingo. Comma. Slutz. Bingo. Comma. Slutz. Bingo. Comma. Slutz. Bingo. Comma. Slutz.
Pinko Commie Sluts, we're back. We're all here. I'm here, Bunny's here, Marlo's here, Steve's here. And we went to see Dune.
It was an adventure of epic proportion. We harnessed, what did we harness?
The litany against fear.
Desert power.
Oh, desert power, yes. Yes, desert power. That is actually the funny thing, because that is one of the silly things from the book that they kept.
Yes, this is going to be Marlo saying from the book about 100,000 times for the next hour and a half.
Oh, stop it.
Only to be matched by Steve reiterating how much he does not care.
Do not care. Every time he says from the book, I say, do not care.
No, I was just pointing out that there's a bunch of silly things from the book, much of which they didn't keep in, but desert power was one. Another one was, I must not fear. Fear
is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration.
I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
I was just ambushed by a Dune douche.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that movie fucking rolled.
Yeah, man.
We were all on drugs when we saw it.
So highly recommend.
Yeah, no, it works, especially if like you already know everything that's going to happen. Makes it super easy. Everything happens. Everything happened. Steve didn't know what was going to happen.
Nope. I was the control of the group.
Yeah.
The swaddling babe, the virgin.
Yep.
The untouched. Well, okay, so Marlo, why is Dune important to you? Why do you enjoy
It's
this
just a bunch
movie?
of fun stuff. I don't give a shit.
What?
It's not really important to me. It's
No,
just
I mean,
shit that's fun for me.
Why was this movie specifically fun for you? Because you've expressed throughout the time after that it was a very fun experience.
Yeah, it was a joy to watch. It managed to not be incredibly fucking stupid like the other attempts at doing Dune, and it competently showed Dune in the form of a movie that is like every other movie that comes out today, and that's all I wanted.
Now, I read that this director, how do you pronounce his name?
Oh, no one knows.
Vic?
Villeneuve?
Villeneuve.
Yeah, Dennis.
And he did Arrival?
He did Arrival?
He did Arrival.
Oh, I thought... Okay.
He also did Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, he did Blade Runner. And I don't really like Blade Runner, and I also didn't really like that movie, so whatever.
Was it stylistically similar?
This is where I cannot actually say what the tone of the movie we watched was, because I was on a lot of drugs. So I am...
Because you were laughing a lot, and I don't know if those were appropriate for what was on the screen.
I think
I was laughing a lot.
I think I was also like picturing smart aleck comments, I would say, if I was there with Phil. Yeah, but like,
I mean, every time they said desert power, I laughed.
Yeah,
really hard.
Like because desert power, like
desert power.
You haven't seen the sci-fi miniseries, but that one does desert power incredibly funny. And also, if I am not mistaken, okay, I could be wrong on this. I'm gonna look it up, but I think Duke Leto in the miniseries I need to look this up before I say it aloud.
No, you don't. Nobody listens to this. Nobody likes Dune.
Yeah.
They'll never judge you for it.
Yeah, probably not. But it's important to me.
Marlo's got to get his cross references correct.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was completely wrong. I was so fucking wrong.
Ooh, wait, about what?
I'm not even going to say it.
Come on, Marlo.
Nope.
Oh, man.
What'd you think of Timothy Chumbawamba, or however you pronounce his last name?
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I thought he was good. He looks like a boy,
Unlike
and
Kyle LeBlanc.
and it was that.
But
Yeah.
they still managed to make it perfectly Oedipedal.
Yeah. That's what everybody was talking about, was that longing glance from his mother to him.
Which, as I pointed out last night, it is endlessly funny to me that there is nothing in Frank Herbert's writings that explicitly makes any Oedipedal thing at all, but literally everyone who's adapted his work has read that into it. It's almost like a 90s sitcom plot where just like everyone just kind of casually thinks some dude is gay when he's like, I'm not gay, and then he starts questioning whether he's gay, like that kind of plot. But
Except the ghost of Frank Herbert.
and fuck
Yeah.
his mom.
Yeah.
He's like, did I the whole time?
Yeah.
Did I want to have sex with my mom? Come on, guys.
I have no idea what you're doing there.
That was a,
You can't identify
You can't
a Friends reference.
yeah.
No, I straight out. I'll take it.
This
That's
guy
my fault.
bragging over here.
No, that's my fault. No, I should be able to identify friends.
But okay, so why did you like it, Bunny?
Well, I mean, it was
Or
like,
did you like it?
I did like it. It was visually really overwhelming,
It was that.
which I like. I like feeling like I'm in a whole different world there.
My big, and I'm gonna put this out there, my biggest critique, and this is about the movie decisions that they made, not about the story choices, was the amount of slow motion was so much of it, and they could have used some of that time to like give a little bit more context to things.
I was on drugs. I did not notice that, but that might be valid.
There was a lot of slow motion followed by
Well, yeah,
they were often coinciding because they would have like a shot of the Fremen
Yeah.
walking and it'd be all in slow motion and then the music would play.
Yeah, no, that like Toto did that.
Well, how else are you supposed to know you're seeing somewhat of a dream vision unless slow-mo is employed?
Yeah.
You can do weird.
But there's so much
rotoscoping,
dreams in it that it felt like half the movie was just in slow motion.
There-
Well,
they're
in the book.
They're in a planet made out of psychedelic cocaine.
Yeah, man. So I do have some criticisms on the fun level of this one as compared to David Lynch's 1984
It's not
masterpiece. This did not make me want the spice as much as David Lynch's. And I was a little disappointed that I wasn't like, nom, nom, give me some of that spice, man. I'm still pro space drugs.
I
So
feel like that
if you
might
know
be
something.
gotten into a little more in part 2, just because he'll then be at the siege and he'll be
yeah. So when
eating the spice Fremen food.
If you want
Yes.
to be my spice.
Yeah, well, and all the Benny Gesserit stuff.
If you want to be my spice.
So
My only criticism is no hats. Mm-hmm. There was not a bunch of goofy hats on everyone. I didn't know
Yeah.
it was the future.
yeah, I was like, is this the past or is this the future?
I just assumed this was in the same universe as Rogue One.
Nah, it's in like our history universe. That's why the Atreides fought at the Battle of Troy. Canonically.
With Bunny's ancestors.
Yep.
I feel like that's equivalent to my family, like having a few unusual names and being like, it's ancient.
No, it's an utterly insane genealogy as any such genealogy would be.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I named my child Socrates. Like,
look,
how many?
I'm not against it.
How often does that happen? Where they lean in.
I mean, my dad's name is Herodotus. It's Herodotus. And
the royal family
we had a cousin,
of
Pythagoras.
Japan is descended from the sun. So, like, you know, people claim lineages.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's about who's telling a good story, man.
So, did you have any other criticisms?
Yeah, there were no dogs in this one, which terrible.
No Patrick Stewart's.
No Patrick
holding
Stewart's.
dogs. By the way, for anybody listening, we watched the movie in theaters, then came back and watched the David Lynch 84.
Watched 84 for the come down.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It ruled.
That's called a double Herbert.
It was like it was good. It was so fun to me to watch the David Lynch one after seeing this.
A very serious movie.
Yes,
that had moments of levity. Whereas there was all levity in David Lynch.
Yeah. Yes. So it did make me appreciate a lot of things.
Okay. I want to actually, and this is actually going to take something that Phil told me. So, Phil, if you're listening, I'm giving you credit.
Our Patreon. Phil.
And also jump off something Steve said last night in terms of moments of levity is Jason Momoa's beard situation.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just want to point out that when he first came back and shaved his beard, he also had just this glow of a child who came back from a semester abroad, just talking about how swell all these Fremen are.
Yeah, which was really weird.
It was so cute. He's like, adorable.
He's like, I was hanging out with the desert people and I became one of them, and they were so fun.
Yeah, no, he was so into that shit.
They were just that was probably his most Brendan Fraser
I loved
scene.
him in that.
I kept thinking the entire time, I'm like, man, if this had been made 20 years ago, like around the time of Mummy, Jason Momoa should have been played by Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, so Steve wants like a transitional Dune movie that is not Jodorowsky's, or however you pronounce that name. I'm sorry to everyone. It's not
everyone that's listening that's judging Marlowe.
Yes.
The entire world.
That's a huge part of our fan base.
Yeah.
It's people who just tune in to judge Marlowe.
I know what I am.
He's the voice of nerd culture.
He's using the voice.
He's using the voice.
Yeah, but Steve wants like a fun 90s adventure Dune that also would be made as well, which I can't blame you for. More Dune the better. Every era should have a Dune.
But the problem could be, well, if this is the Rogue One Dune, that could be the Phantom Menace Dune.
But also every other Dune was also stupid, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then to that I ask, what is not stupid?
Yeah, sure.
Steve, I'm curious, is there any kind of big world buildy type thing that you have ever like earnestly been into?
Steve, do you have an imagination?
Yeah. Do I love things?
I'm curious.
Do you have a sense of wonder?
I shit on The Watchmen. I shit on Dune.
I'm just curious if there is.
Yeah, I mean, I like novels. Jesus,
That's not what the fuck I asked.
Yeah, Steve.
Well, what?
Jesus
you
Christ.
asked me if there was world building that I enjoyed.
Not the basic elements of fiction world building. Big, broad, something.
Steve, do I like
many
world
of the
building?
things?
Yeah, Tolstoy.
Yeah, like many of the things
the
that you
far-off
found stupid
land of
were
Russia.
just details written about this made-up world.
Are you saying
do movies, books as well, but like
high fucking fiction.
Like
I'm a pretentious fucking English major.
No, I'm saying, is that what's getting in the way here?
Yes. Yeah, that's obviously what's getting in the way here. It's hard for me to get into a level of fantasy after the age of 15. It's always just been a thing that I.
Okay, did you get into fantasy prior to 15?
That brings back the thing we were saying last night about how we're going to make you read Magic the Gathering, The Brothers War, and talk about how we're going to make it into a movie.
But that is like literally for children, right?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely a children's
Before
book.
I read it when I was 13, and that's the last time I can remember.
I mean, sure, but like Dune is also kind of a children's book.
Dune is literally the biggest science fiction novel of all time.
It's physically the biggest.
So,
not even close, dude.
Yeah, no. Yeah, man. But I'm just
children's books.
It's like 300 pages, if that. I don't know.
That's a big Wait, are you talking about The Brothers War, or are you talking about Dune?
I was talking about Dune.
Oh, I thought the first book was like 700.
No, it's like 300 page.
It's not 200 pages.
Well, okay, it's like 300 pages.
It's in 3 parts. It's certainly not. It's over 400 pages.
Yeah, well, it's fellowship. Like it's not.
Yeah. I can know something, like some things are perhaps written for children, some things whatever, and I don't have a thing about it. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's what Maria Sendak said.
What are you curious about? Is there a world building universe
it's just like you just don't like this kind of thing in general.
Yeah. And it's the same way Marlo and I talk about this. I don't like prestige TV dramas.
Yeah, but like also you like fucking Twin Peaks and shit. Like,
oh yeah,
we talked about that. You like prestige you like some shows. You don't like. Yeah, there's a certain.
You like some shows, but you find a way to justify them within your intellectual rationale.
Yeah, Steve, like a big faker.
Yeah.
Who else literally. I just think like
a big phony.
Yeah, I just think some things eke through to you, but you have I
don't watch most shows people watch. I watch some shows.
I don't know how to
I don't like Walking Dead. I kind of like Breaking Bad. I
don't like Breaking Bad.
But you like Better Call Saul. Yeah. So dude, it's all fucking.
I go by case basis.
But then there are just certain things that have nothing to do with a value judgment whatsoever. Like you can just be averse to certain things and certain plot lines and etc.
I guess I just had a problem the amount of investment that I would need to ever fully engage with the Dune universe was always something that I felt was super daunting. And I never had anybody to introduce it to me or hold my hand through it like you rushed me through in the last 48 hours. And so I never had that. And for a lot of the things that I grew up and enjoyed with the world building and with the, I had to go out and seek out on my own and a lot of it. And I never sought out Dune for one reason or another. I like the universe of Star Wars because I grew up with it because, whatever. Like every son had their father bring them to the stupid Star Wars in the movie theater growing up. But there was never that with Dune. And I also have an aversion to the kind of D&D culture that has developed around it, which the kind of cosplay or the
anyone having fun in this area. That's a little too much.
Steven.
the LARPing that I just always felt an aversion to that, and it always seemed paired with a type of role action play.
I've never gone to a con, dude.
No, I'm not
just
saying you
what
guys.
What did a nerd do to you, man?
I'm not talking. I'm
kidding.
It's I'm
not talking about
shit.
you.
Yeah, but I'm into this shit. It's not I don't know what you're talking about in terms of Dune is. I just looked it up. A 412 page novel that is very self-contained and at a level of reading that, like, if you can get through Lord of the Rings, Dune is easier than that. Like, I mean, it's like, it's whatever. It's a book that is written for teenagers to read, and, you know, like, yeah. And then there's a bunch of other books, and they're all kind of stupid, but it's like, in between that, there's some fun shit. And, yeah, if we get a bunch of bloated, big-budget movies out of it, it might be fun to watch. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't think it, like, says anything especially profound about society or whatever. It's just kind of fun.
On a certain level, like, all fiction is stupid. Like, it's not.
Yeah, all poets are liars.
It's, I don't know. It's like.
You don't understand.
Unless I'm already
selective
invested,
aversion?
unless I'm already invested in a universe, and then I don't like a choice that's been made because I'm already invested. Like, I'm just like, oh, that's what that is in this universe. Like, I don't feel any way about it unless, like I said, I'm already, but like have a certain vision for it, I guess.
Well, then, okay. What's the vision of Dune that you enjoyed that got you hooked into the universe?
I actually like quite enjoy the sort of hive mind energy that's connected to a huge fandom, and it was just like I had not really come across Dune like that. I had seen it. I was familiar with like sandworms were from Dune, etc. But it wasn't until like some comedians were reading it, and then they were like, "Yeah, man, then you're gonna want to read all of them." They were like super into it, and I was like, "All right, well, I want to know what this is about." And then I read the first one, and I watched the first movie, and then I did like engage a bit about it. I started reading the second one, but I didn't finish it.
No,
But it's not like I wouldn't. There's like a, you know, the right sequence of events. I'm just reading the rest of those books. But yeah, I don't know. You know, I usually like things, if they're in the fantasy, sci-fi realm, to have a little bit more humor in them. Like,
See, I feel like the equivalent would be, and this is, you know, nerd, bro culture, we're already there. But if somebody made a movie about Infinite Jest, or made two movies, like half of Infinite Jest and then the second half of Infinite Jest.
I would watch it, and so would you.
But I would have the same reaction that Marlo's having about, or that you're having about.
Yeah, I would also be into. I would definitely want to watch it.
That would be the level of rereading the book before it comes out, then being super hyped about the universe. That would be.
I will never reread Dune. He's not the best writer in the world.
the audiobooks are good though.
But David Foster Wallace
they are listenable.
is a good enough writer.
But that, like, I'm not even really
like if that universe. Because it is a kind of dystopian future
That's
universe.
the thing I appreciated about it, even though like I never really got into the flow of reading it. But I'd love to watch that movie.
And for me, the interesting part about that universe, which is what would interest me about the Dune universe, is the way that the commentary and the like.
There is a glossary and like an appendix at the back of the original Dune, so there's that too.
Yeah, which is the most annoying part of Infinite Jest.
Well, I mean, like, you know,
he has like
that stuff does exist in Dune.
He has 900 endnotes, which is one of the most famous things. And there will be things that he does to just troll the audience, where he puts like 4 different endnotes, and then they send you to the back, and it's like 3 pages per endnote that you have to read, and it has absurd stuff where important like plot points are in the endnotes that you have to know in order to get the movie.
I am familiar with the general.
Yes, this is the bar conversation that you have in Williamsburg with a guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, and like that shit's cool, and that's also why I like Dune. And like, yeah, and for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think generally the big picture shit that Herbert comes up with is actually pretty interesting, even if at the micro level, I don't think he's the best at writing dialogue or making characters that I would give a shit about. But like I think like the big picture, like structural shit about like how the society works is actually kind of interesting, and it's just fun. And also, this movie did a thing where they made a lot of the characters who you don't give a shit about in the book slightly more relatable through good performances and screenwriting.
That is one thing about this movie, is that it does come off as much more relatable than the David Lynch.
Which is... The David Lynch, I will say, is closer to the book because like
especially
Paul,
that tree
Paul
he fights,
is just like
that metal machine tree that spins around. That's definitely in the book.
Maybe I don't know.
That's explicitly like
something in
that.
The book.
He almost like spent too much time on that one thing.
Okay, then what was this about it that made it more relatable? Was it the focus on the one character's kind of journey, whereas
Paul, if you read the book, comes off as just an unrelatable, slightly psychopathic piece of entitled shit. Like just the whole time he's like, I am the Duke's son, and it's just like no one gives a shit, dude. And that's like one of the things is like your main character, and then like the reasons that your main character is good is because he's just the best at everything and like better than everyone else. And like he's not that fun as a like main character to like have to care about. But in the movie, like I thought the actor, like maybe it was like my body producing like way too much of whatever that fucking love chemical is in my brain when I saw the dude on screen or whatever. But I don't know. I felt like I was vibing with him.
Yeah, I definitely made it like more relatable and palatable because so much of the book is like just very grandiose,
Yeah, like and like Duncan and all those people are just like, you are the Duke's son, you must train to be the Duke's son because you're the Duke's son. Mm-hmm. And like that's like a lot of how the book comes off, where it's just like, oh, well, I've been like socialized in a completely different society to this, and all their values seem bad, and I hate everyone. I don't know why I should care about what happens to these people. But the movie, I thought, had less of that.
I can't tell how accessible, like I said, it is to somebody who doesn't know anything about it, but I'm definitely like, I would be excited to see a part 2, especially after watching the David Lynch one and thinking of all the possible
second part.
Yeah.
I think to answer your question of why I have such an aversion to it, and this will come off as hypocritical because of the Star Wars comment, but I just never got into space shit. I was never a kid that was into space adventures.
I don't feel like this is... it's in space. I know it's in
Dune
space.
is famously the least spacey sci-fi.
It's not hard sci-fi.
There's no robots. There's no
And I think it was more that it was presented to me culturally as
that's the thing with
space.
Dune is there's there's laser guns, but their use is heavily regulated, and it's a whole fucking thing. If you fire a laser gun into a shield, it causes a nuclear explosion at either the point of contact between laser and shield or at the laser gun itself, and there's no way to know. Yeah, so that no one uses laser guns. But there's like none of that shit. There's no aliens, there's no robots, there's just like people, and super weird, and it's a super weird society. They almost never fly through space. It's a sci-fi written by a guy who seems like he would rather have written a book that took place in like 1600s Italy.
The only thing we hear about is the orthocopters or
ornithopters. Ornithopters. There's certain like technological it's like, oh, there's a light that glows and floats and follows people. It follows you around. So like,
I liked how they had just a YouTube channel going.
Yeah, they have, and they even, I love that in the movie they kept the like super 60s like video novel or whatever the fuck they called it.
Film book.
Yeah, like they kept the like most 60s term in the world for that concept. Yeah, you know, it's like, it's a sci-fi that is very purposely closer to like kind of a medieval drama.
Well, or yeah, it's more about like these political machinations, and also like the book is very like Paul's has these visions and these dreams, and you kind of are like in and out of dream space, or like knowing things have already happened. Like it's not purely linear sort of thing you're reading either. So it's like sci-fi in its early form before people knew more science stuff to write about.
Yeah, and that's like also the fun thing where like Frank Herbert slowly tries to figure out exactly what DNA does as he's writing the series.
Which you can go into.
Well, yeah, I mean, eugenics is real in Dune. Like, eugenics is straight up real, and also you can breed psychic powers, but also they're kind of very stupid psychic powers that nonetheless make you unstoppable.
Well, yeah, like, so a lot of the psychic powers have to do with having access to the ancestral lines, which Marlo made a good point yesterday, which is like what the Bene Gesserit like are keen to control because we don't know exactly what it gives you. Which I had never really thought about before. I was like, you're right. This is like, there's just this weird assumption that, honestly, what could knowing...
Yeah, so the Bene Gesserit, through their training, learn to access the memories of their female ancestral line. And it's super difficult training that can possibly kill you, and no man can complete the training. And there is a Bene Gesserit legend / plan / eugenics project to create the Quetzalcoatl that is supposed to be a man who can pass this trial, and that will allow this man to then access the ancestral memory of both his male and female ancestors, and then that's it. Surely that man will then obviously gain control of the universe, and the Bene Gesserit can control him. That's like literally the background plot of Dune, and it's never really explained or doesn't really make sense, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, okay, I did have a think about this, which was a very Britishism, but I compared this last night to Lawrence of Arabia in space.
Yeah, sure.
And it reminds me of a constant thing that came up over and over in Lawrence of Arabia, where
Desert power?
Desert power.
Desert power.
But it was another similar line where whenever Lawrence did anything, because again, he was like the white savior that was coming to combine the tribes of Arabia against the colonizers, which was him, which was the English, and he fought the English and also the Turkish. But the thing that kept coming up was it was written. They said this over and over. It is written. It is written. It is written. It is written. Muktab.
Okay, yeah. So Muktab means it is written, and if anyone's at any point in your life casually come across the book, The Alchemist, this features prominently in, Paul Cialo's retelling of a legend that is well known.
But to go back to Dune, the whole having ancestral knowledge of your lineage and origins, it reminds me very much of like this kind of like Judeo-Christian kind of, Arab kind of world where
Muktab is a huge Arab concept of fate or destiny.
Fate or destiny, that if you have access to this pool of knowledge, then that knowledge in itself will allow you to have supernatural predilections, like leading an entire coalition of people against your oppressors.
It's similar to the like Egyptian concept of the duat, or
and like also the other thing is the alternative is to what, say like, oh, he'll be able to shoot lightning out of his hands. Like, you know, it's like what power would actually make sense for this? You might as well do something that's a little grounded in like a greater cultural mythos and less like, oh, well, he'll be able to fly. Like, sure, whatever. Like, maybe if they were doing it today, it'd be like, oh, he can direct ships through hyperspace or something. But, like, you know, whatever. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a MacGuffin, but...
It's a MacGuffin, and it's hinting at a larger theological way that they situate themselves in the universe that kept coming up in the movie last night. It comes up in the David Lynch, and it comes up in Lawrence of Arabia.
In Dune, so you've got this great superstition that's been surreptitiously for thousands of years been spread by the Bene Gesserit in disparate places in the universe, but specifically in Arrakis, our desert planet of spice, among the Freemen. So, like, there's been ideas about this prophecy there for 1,000 years. Yeah, that essentially.
Yeah, I mean, basically a messianic philosophy, but there's like certain very particular markers of it will be an off-worlder from a great house who will be kind of this oldish, and he'll be with his mother, and like there's like a bunch of specifics that are put in that kind of seemingly do directly apply to Paul Atreides and prime the Fremen to like at least talk in hushed rumors about him prior to him.
And then accept it wholesale as his Messiah eventually.
Right. Now, okay, so the one scene that was not included, but I think what happened was I got thrown by the miniseries as to the timing, because I think the scene's going to happen in the next movie, is when Paul cries at Jameis's, the guy he killed, funeral, and that's sort of what gets him super accepted as a Fremen, because he's shedding water for the dead of this man that he, only knew who challenged him, and they shared the honor of combat. So like that, like suddenly like thrusts him as this like, holy shit, he's one of us.
Yeah, everything pretty much works out for old Paul.
Yeah, Paul, everything works out. Everything works out in the first book for Paul.
Yeah, in the first book.
Second book, things get a little wonky. And third book, ooh. First book, everything is going to work out for old Paul Atreides. That's
right. I'm really excited to see so many of the things that I love from the David Lynch one in the next one that were in, obviously, the second half of the David Lynch one.
The gay gingers. The gay fat gingers.
I'm more into baby witches, baby witch nuns. Well, and like we're gonna get more Bene Gesserit, but all the Freeman's like spiritual belief stuff, and I think it'll be cool. I think they'll do it cool.
And meanwhile, Jason Momoa is arguing to be able to release his own like 8-hour cut of the movie because like he's just so into this right now.
Jason Momoa has become a Dune super fan.
Now, do you think they already shot the second half of the movie?
That's not what the press language sounds like. It's like, oh, we're ready to go, like blah blah blah. So I know that he felt like he had to cut a great deal or whatever, but it doesn't sound like they made the second part. So
that was definitely
hilarious.
It's like stop doing that, guys. Come on.
I just saw a review that said the guy sitting next to us in the theater was definitely making a bootleg, and I hope that when people watch it on 1, 2, 3 movies and gets to the scene where the sandworm first appears, they hear my boyfriend say, "The forbidden butthole."
Yeah, these were, more sphinctery.
Yeah, very bootylicious. What did Marlo say when? It was about when the worm came up.
Yeah. I just got reminded of the Mitch Hedberg seeing the bear on acid and thinking it was Smokey the Bear kind of thing. Like they thought it's gonna talk about forest fires and shit. Like I don't know. It was just kind of like I was expecting it to make some little sound like how the aliens do when they're being cute and shit, and it's like, oh, you're just a baby.
Okay, I didn't get what happened. Why did the worm not bite him?
Because one of the Fremen used a thumper. A thumper is...
I had no idea what a thumper was.
Yeah, well, okay, it thumps.
The worms are attracted to rhythmic thumping. So that's why they can't walk in a rhythmic way.
It's a thing that goes bim, bim, bim. It's a thing that kind of looks like one of them jerk off weights.
A shake weight. So yeah, it basically distracts the worm.
Well, now I know what I want in the future.
Yeah,
I want a shake jerk off weight instead of a thumper, as the thumper.
Okay, anyway,
Signaling
the Fremen
the
use
worm.
it to call a worm so they can ride it and shit, and also to drive worms to a different location if they're attacking a given location, the latter of which happened in that case.
Yeah, because the Fremen know what they're doing.
Are you going native?
Yeah,
Are you going native, Jason Momoa?
He did.
Oh man, I can't wait till Jason Momoa comes back. So many Jason Momoas.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. If this thing goes forward, guys. But I want to see more witch stuff. I want to see, obviously, more Fremen stuff. Obviously, the
sex scenes with
next movie's gonna focus on Zendaya's character, which I don't even think they told us her name in this one. So, despite us seeing her very, very much.
Over and over.
She did not
slow motion with in the dream, then she's in real life, and then still in the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the Quetzalcoatl Queen Directory, Stephen.
Queen Directory.
So, I don't know. I just, I'm into it. I'm excited. Though it would be funny if they just don't make a part 2.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
Because it ends, spoiler alert, it ends like, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it ends with them walking. Yeah.
Oh, man, Marlo, how dare you?
Queen Directory.
People are going to put it all together. Too early.
Queen Directory.
Dun, dun, dun.
He leads a jihad.
Yeah, they definitely lightened up on the Islamic.
I thought they
names.
heightened.
No, they definitely did not say jihad.
Yeah, they say jihad a lot in the book. Dude.
In the book, yeah.
And I mean, this is
the reason why there's no computers was due to a jihad.
Yeah, no, well, they didn't say the words Butlerian jihad. That's actually one of the things. But,
yeah, which is, I guess, when AIs took over the world.
Yeah.
We killed them all.
Yeah, basically.
Then we gotta make people computers.
Yeah.
Seems like a terrible plan.
Much like Mishra in the Brothers War.
Yeah, Steve, we'll totally get to that. But, no, I'm down for that, man. This is my Benny Gesserit breeding program to breed you into friends who are into stupid bullshit I like Dune and Magic the Gathering books.
But it only works on you have to change it in your pregnancy to
Yeah, whatever, the water of life and all that jazz. But, this is cool.
Run through the sand.
So anyway, I don't know what happened in the world, but I do know that Dune is an okay movie.
Colin Powell died.
He already did.
Colin Powell.
Colin Powell died.
He did.
And he's with us today.
He's right here.
He was with us in the movie.
Man. Yeah, he loved Dune. Oh my God, Jesus.
He's like,
he was I was trying to get that copter made.
Invading that sand place was one of his favorite things.
Yeah, that was like a top
do.
secret dream. It's like, I want to go to the sand planet. You know it's real, right? Spice is real. I really do want spice to be real if I hadn't already said it, guys. Because none of the drugs we have make you psychic yet. And, I mean, you could feel psychic, but I want it for real.
I mean, I think that's what being an empath is.
I mean, like, invasive. They're, like, invasively psychic
Mm.
on it. Like, I can probably guess a bunch of shit about you, but, you know.
That's just deduction skills.
Yeah, I'm also a mentalist.
Starts a jihad as if nobody cares.
Yeah.
He runs through the night. Is there anything else to talk about? I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Don't
we
remember
all did acid
anything.
yesterday. We're not doing. There's no other things that could go through our heads.
Yeah, I can only talk about sandworm related things, so we can also talk about Beetlejuice, but that is it.
What about the movie Tremors? That's good.
Or Tremors.
I was gonna say let's get all the sand movies.
Are sandworms real? Is a thing I thought about Googling.
There is actually in Siberia a cryptid that is essentially it's like the Mongolian death worm, I think it's called.
Are there real sandworms?
Look up Mongolian.
There's tiny ones.
Mongolian death worm.
Really down in the dirt. But I do want to see the Mongolian death worm. You know, I love a cryptid.
And the name Guided by Voices would also work as a Dune band.
Yeah, sure.
There was a lot of guiding by voices, especially in the David Lynch version.
Oh yeah, no, guiding by voiceovers, but
Yeah, David Lynch has no consistency in that movie about whose thoughts we hear. It's just random. Like
it just felt like he had no idea what to do with it. He didn't want to do it, and
I want to talk about the eugenics version of the Ginger House.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone in the Harkonnens was redheaded,
and like kind of.
How did that happen? Is it part of their culture that they're all redheaded? Is it their lesser gene pool?
I mean,
their freakish nature.
I will
as
say,
redheads?
in the new movie, the reason they're all pale and bald is because their homeworld of Giedi Prime was subjected to like massive industrial pollution, and the sun's essentially blotted out.
Is that with the slave scene too?
Yeah.
That had no context at all.
Well, just the Harkonnens are evil. They live on a dark, smoke-covered planet filled with slaves, and everyone's miserable on it. I don't know. Like they are kind of like meant to be archetypical fantasy.
Yeah, like it's
bad guys.
like they're bad. The Atreides are good.
Yeah, there's really no subtlety here.
I did feel like the Arcades or whatever Atreides were like Lannister-y.
No, they're supposed to be like not Lannisters.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be like the fucking There's the Starks. They're supposed to be the nobles.
The Starks would be the good guys. Yeah. I mean, I guess they are the Lannisters in the sense that
they end up being bad, right? Isn't that
the Atreides are okay? So like. That gets ambiguous as to whether the giant
but not
monster.
In this one.
Yeah, no. In this one, everyone's good. In this one, like they're all good. There's no ambiguity. By the time the giant psychic tyrant worm controls the universe under his iron fist, then like questions of morality begin to be brought up.
Only after that, though.
And yeah, I mean, you can read Dune critically, certainly. You can take the eye of, okay, let's look at Paul as an bad person, but, and like analyze the book, getting rid of the presumption that Paul is good. And there's certainly good analysis to have to that end, but as far as who the intended protagonist of the book is, who the good guys are, it's kind of supposed to be Paul and the Atreides. Leto is a character who's supposed to be just such a good guy, and he kind of knows he needs to do some machinations, and he does a little bit of machinations, but mostly he just wants to make friends with the Fremen, and then he gets killed.
And he thinks he's going to be able to, like, he knows he's being set up, but he's like, I've always been like this goody two shoes, and I'm gonna, like, he thinks he's gonna form an alliance with the Fremen that's gonna, like, supersede what's coming to him.
And then, like, a couple generations later, that turns into a weird tyrannical theocracy worshipping a giant worm. But also, that giant worm led humanity down the golden path that they might spread their seed to the furthest regions of the universe. So, pluses and minuses all around.
Pluses and minuses all around, for sure. You know, I want that spice. Also, if you need it for space travel,
I didn't get what
how
the
did you
function of spice
find-
was.
Okay, this is explainable.
This is explainable.
Okay, there's a thing...
They did not explain it.
Right, there's a thing in the Dune universe called the Holtzman Drive. The Holtzman Drive opens up a portal in space. Let's just say that's what it does, because it doesn't matter. In order to get through this portal, it's very difficult. There's, like, certain quantum fields you need to take into account, and blah, blah, blah. And if you get it wrong, your ship gets spread out across the universe. Now, normally that would be dealt with a computer, but in Dune they don't have computers. So what they have instead are people that they pump full of spice for like 100 years straight until they become mutated giant brain freaks who can then do all those calculations and get the spaceship through the portal.
Let me tell you, nobody's asking a lot of questions about the ethics there.
Yeah, well, that's the space and like, okay, so Dune is essentially, there's like 4 branches of the government. There's the Emperor, there's the Great Houses, there is the Bene Gesserit, and there's the Spacing Guild. The Spacing Guild has pure control over the way to get from one planet to another is you call up the Spacing Guild, they bring a giant fucking ship over your planet, you fly your little ship into their giant fucking ship, they bring you to the next planet. That's the only way to get around in the Dune universe.
So it's like the MTA.
Yeah, basically. And like there's like all these laws, like if there's a war between the houses, the Spacing Guild has to remain neutral and just transport both sides.
Yeah, so like the Port Authority.
Yeah, no,
If there's a war between New York and New Jersey, then we're still having the trains going.
Yep, and all the troops have to use the trains to get from one side, and there's no fighting allowed on the trains. But yeah, that's basically, so that's what spice does vis-a-vis getting around in the universe, and like also it generally gives people psychic powers.
So it's just oil.
Yes,
But if oil
Steven.
is also
In fact,
cocaine.
there's also this
Cocaine?
Like psychedelic cocaine.
Yeah.
They did mention that in the first scene.
Yeah, it is oil. There is, in fact, in the universe, this corporation called CHOAM that's basically...
Chode.
Yeah, it stands for something. But it's basically supposed to be the Seven Sisters, which were the 7 oil companies that controlled the Middle East in the 1960s. And all the great houses basically own shares in that company, and that's how they have their power. Yeah, it's a metaphor. Like, it's a bunch of metaphors that are super, like, hit at you over the head. But yeah, spice is like oil. Or it's like spice from, like, the 1400s. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's the thing that we take to go on routes and stuff.
Yep, and you can only find it in the desert planet. Wonder what it can represent. Where there's a bunch of weird religious Araby freaks. Anyway,
There's other deserts that
Here
have
is the
less
mind
Araby
color.
freaks.
Yeah,
Dune.
the Gobi Desert,
the
home of
Southwest.
the Mongolian death worm.
Yeah, the Mongolian death. This podcast is dedicated to the brave soldiers
of the Mongolian death worm.
of the Mongolian death worm.
That's right.
All right.
All right.
I'm good. We duned it out.
Yeah.
Dune to
I am
dune
so
dune.
duned.
I think we're all gonna take naps.
That's
now.
right. Princess Irulan.
She runs through the night as if nobody cares. She screams and she cries and ignores all the stares. She wants me to come, but I'm never going there. The cold heart mountain top The Gold Heart Mountain Top, Queen Director.